How did we go from single-person income supporting an entire family to today? Prices in general have gone up immensely, but wages haven't kept pace. House prices are roughly 65 times higher than they were 50 years ago. Mortgages are much higher in comparison, energy costs are higher, fuel, transport, food, all much more expensive than it used to be, making it much harder to support a family on a single wage since wages haven't kept pace with inflation. I love how when The Simpsons came out Homer was a loser, seems like he's winning to me. Other than housing, it's often possible to support a family at a similar standard of living to 1950 on a single income. But once many families started having two incomes, and the housing supply got constrained, only those with two incomes could afford good housing in good locations. This forced those with one income to consider wanting two. People used to be able to buy a home and then sustain their life, and life of a partner and their kids, people with decent jobs, in small houses, with public education. The fantasy that a burger flipper in the 50s had a nice house, two cars, etc. is just that, a fantasy. You can still live like the old days. Live in a 900 square foot apartment or small house, one car, rarely eat out, have about 4 kids. The parent that works more and works at a repetitive factory job. The standard of living was less back then. One factor is that our standards of living have risen substantially. My father had school friends in the 1950s who lived in houses with dirt floors. The value of labor collapsed. Huge swaths of women started entering the workforce, drastically increasing the labor supply, while simultaneously globalism was taking off, forcing Western labor to compete directly with astronomically cheaper developing world labor. That is simply not true. I don't ever remember a single person in a household supporting an entire family, and that includes anyone I knew outside of my family too. Everyone had jobs, even those families where one was a business owner, the other worked in the business. That narrative is propaganda to brainwash people into thinking how bad we have it today, and it's a flat-out lie. My mother had a PhD and taught school, my father had an MBA and worked for a rocket company. One brought in the income, dad, one had the better insurance coverage, mom. Before them, my grandparents owned a 2,500-acre ranch, and they both still had jobs in the summer to make things work. I don't even know how to respond to that kind of narrative, because it's simply false unless you're in a TV show like All in the Family, The Dick Van Dyke Show, or Modern Family. 3 TVs, 4 phones with data plans, 3 cars, etc. At least for lots of folks, the stuff that we expect to enjoy a basic survival is more and costs more. I was a psalm, we lived in California. It wasn't always easy, but I'm also very frugal. My son and DIL have 4 kids and she is a psalm too. Recite in the PNW. Greed. Specifically corporate greed. It wasn't enough to just make profit. Every year's profits had to increase. And here we are. A big thing, and it applies to everybody, don't live beyond your means. If you at least do that, if you have that mental state, you're on the right track to where you want to go, to where you want to get in life. Read Two Income Trap. It's a great history of what happened and how lifestyle inflation screwed us over. The truth is women's rights. Women entered the workforce, so it went from single income sources to dual income sources. Because household income increased, inflation happened, and now we're at a point where you need a dual income to support a household. I'm sure there's more to it than this, but a couple reasons I can think of. 1. We shipped a lot of manufacturing jobs overseas too. While I'm not against equal right, the feminist movement put a lot more people into the workforce. Over-consumerism. I think a lot of people overlive their lifestyle and salary. Today people want a bigger home, 2 or 3 cars, nice TV and computer and new cell phones, and going out to dinner often and a nice vacation here and there. But back in the other decades people bought a modest smaller home that was far cheaper, and had only 1 car and kept it a long time, and didn't have nice expensive gadgets back then. If you live like that today, yeah, I'd get by pretty well easily, but no one wants to live that frugal basic minimal lifestyle. I'm 54. Both of my parents worked and so did most of my friends' parents. Both my husband and I worked. Both of my husband's parents worked. My grandma worked. The single income family is a TV invention. Bye-bye gold standard, hello social programs, and a hell of a lot more people. Women started working in careers with meaningful income which gave them buying power to dual income households. So pragmatically speaking, if you want to go back to single income dads supporting the whole family Homer Simpson style, then take away women's right to work. Level the playing field. I'd prefer you not though.